Hello everyone, Zellerant here, and they have announced 1.2 for Ash Echoes, and it is following just right along with the CN list of units as they came out. So it is Skylar that will be coming out. Now, if we take a look at the historical polls, so you can see how they're following. We had Singing come out with the relaunch. Then we had the Memory Trace that came out with that one. Then we have Bali Tusu and Scarlet in CN. They came out at the same time, basically the same for us as well, although it's Scarlet we had in our banner first and then in Palitusu, but it was basically the same thing alongside the same memory trace there. And so now they are following into Skylar, who is one of the supports that is on the lightning side. And then so we're going to most likely, looking at the timeline, they had her memory trace here that came out alongside her. So if you're going to be pulling for her, you're almost certainly going to want to get this memory trace with your pulls there, which then shows that if they continue this trend, the really big unit that I think a lot of people want, Boreas, would be right after. And then with him, right after him, a couple weeks later, we're going to have the one person I'm saving for, which is Ben Quenchu. And she has her own memory trace, and she's like the big unit that I really want. And now after actually having played Girls Frontline a lot, I even want her even more because she kind of gives me that Girls Frontline feel to her. So I actually will most likely want to max out her memory trace. I might dump all my pulls into just getting that alongside her. After we'll kind of have to see what I have left after Boreas. But that's the big team that I really want to get. But for now, we know we have Skylar coming up, and I don't know if you can hear it in the background, but my dogs are playing. But so with Skylar, we'll go ahead and take a look at her kit and then look at what kind of teams you might be looking at with her. Lightning has a lot of good reactions and she can fit in a lot of teams, but Skylar seems to be very, just looking at her kit, she tends to trend towards one specific team comp. That's a really, really good team comp. But some of her skills and what they can do are more targeted towards the water, a lightning element. So we'll take a look here on her. I like to look at the leadership skills first because they kind of give that first indication of what they're bringing to the table. So these are skills that you can get without needing a memory trace to have them. So on this one on the right here, you have High Voltage Strike. And this says when electrolyzed, explosion, or electroconduct is triggered, the affected target takes 20, 40, 60% increased damage. Condition all Echomancers. So this one is really nice. It impacts all of them. And then these are the three main elemental triggers that you can get with her. So electrolyze is, I think, just straight electric. You have explosion, which is electric fire, and then electroconduct is electric water. So that covers like all the main comps you're going to want a lightning unit in. So that's really nice. Then you have over here damage blessing. We've seen this on some of our other units. Increases extra damage by 10, 18, 25%. It's doubled in a wet environment. It does not stack with damage blessing Diamond A. The one thing with this one that it's specifically doubled in a wet environment. So that kind of gives me that whole lightning water vibes with her more than like say a lightning fire. Now that doesn't mean it's a deal breaker on that. Just that wet environments are going to be more beneficial when it comes to this skill. Now you don't always have to use their skill. You have the other skills from memory traces that build her as needed. So let's go ahead and take a look at her skills here at the top. The first thing we want to take a look at, and I actually passed it here, is going to be the combat traits, just to kind of get that feeling of how her kit works. And this is where I'm going to say she kind of is more in the lightning water direction than the lightning fire or pure. So after casting a skill, enters a bedtime story for 10 seconds. During this duration, a basic attack deals lightning damage equal to 350% final attack to all enemies within a 200 meter radius. Then Unruly Starburst is considered a summon. Another unit that has summons, and I'm going to be heavy into the summons. One reason I actually do want to pull for her, even though she's not going to heavily fit into my core summoning team. I mean, it feels like everybody has a summon though, so we'll kind of have to see there. But when Unruly Starburst damages enemies, it reduces their lightning resistance by 30% and their water resistance by 10%, triggering the effect again will refresh duration. So that part with the water resistance reduction, just right there, kind of gives me that indication she's going to be best in that lightning water team. But doesn't necessarily mean that you can't put her in a fire team. Just that's kind of giving that indication she's going to be a little bit better on that supportive role on that team. So that is her traits. Let's take a look at her basic skills here. Child of Clouds, for a basic skill, after a short delay, it deals lightning damage equal to 270% final attack to all enemies. Nothing crazy there. That's just her basic attack she's going to be doing when you're not doing anything else. So we have her first active skill here, Hallowing Tempest. And so these are once you max her out. So just take that into consideration, that these numbers will be smaller when you just initially get her. But I think we're all starting to get to that point where we're starting to get these closer to the max level on all of our units. So we'll just kind of start right from there at what they're going to be at the end game here. So with this one, Howling Tempest, it's a damage, debuff, interception, and anti-air. Always great to have anti-air. The one thing that annoys me, I think, in some of the content is not being able to take care of air units with some of them. But this one is unleashes a Howling Tempest in the target area for 8 seconds that intercept all projectiles, pulls all enemies within a 500-meter radius towards the center with a level 3 displacement strength, and deals lightning damage to 500% at final attack. That's one thing that I really like about this skill, is the pulling enemies. And this one, I could see this working well with pretty much like all team comps. Now, being lightning, you definitely want to get that elemental reaction, but something that pulls all the enemies together, and then you have some other big AoE that can come in and take advantage of that to wipe them out. Really nice with that, having a strength to pull them together. Then you have her auto here, so a skill that's just going to keep running on its own. So there's a damage and anti-air, tosses 4 bombs at the target area and creates an Unruly Starburst, which we've already seen what Unruly Starburst is down in her skill, or down in the bottom. When the bombs hit the ground, they each deal lightning damage equal to 800% final attack to all enemies within a 200-meter radius. Unruly Starburst attacks random enemy every 5 seconds, dealing lightning damage equal to 125% final attack to the target, and sputtering all enemies within a 250-meter radius with lightning damage equal to 25% final attack. So you can have up to 3 instances of Unruly Starburst that can be on the field at the same time. At the start of battle, the auto skill charges to 80%, so you're going to get that off fairly quickly in the battle. And then we have her ultimate here, or her seed skill, Birdie Cavalry Assemble, the damage, debuff, interception, anti-air barrier pin. And actually, I maxed this one out, but that, I believe, is when you get all our dupes. So we'll actually keep this one at level 1, so you see the more realistic numbers for most people. So this one is, it intercepts all projectiles, destroys all enemy barriers, so that's great. She's very good at destroying barriers, and then stuns all enemies except bosses in a 500-meter radius for 6 seconds. I think that'll be extremely useful in some of this like endgame content we've had, where right now my strategy on it has been just to absolutely demolish the boss as soon or as quickly as I can. Don't even worry about ads with Scarlet, just annihilate the boss, because there can be so many enemies coming at you, and if you don't kill the boss quickly, you're going to die. So this is kind of another direction you can go if you're not trying to just annihilate the boss. Maybe you can just stun and take the other enemies out of the fight here with that. So it can stun all of them. You can focus down the boss that way. And then it also does a bunch of lightning damage, 2100 to them all in the area. When the skill ends, activates all Unruly Starbursts, so all the ones that you've summoned, on the field for 20 seconds. During this duration, the time between each of the Starbursts attack decreases by 50%, so they're going to be attacking a lot quicker. And then she gets that starting with 50% of her seed charge as soon as she enters battle. And there we go with that. And then when we take a look here with her potential exploration, these ones, the first few are going to be pretty easy to get, and then it's going to take a grind to get to kind of the rest of them. But you have when set as the leader, this Echomancer gains an engraving stat bonus of 20%. Nice. When set as leader, teammates gain engraving stat bonus of 20%, including Vit, attack, and MST. So, I mean, a lot of these are standards that you see with on most units. When it's set on the leader, increases the vitality of all Echomancers by 20%. When it's set as leader, this Echomancer's MST to damage rate is increased by 110. Set as leader, after this, she casts a debuff or buff skill. The extra damage of all Echomancers on the field is increased by 60% for 30 seconds. Attack speed, crit rate plus there on 5 and 6. And then you start kind of getting into the more focused ones after that, where these are where it gets really expensive. When set as leader on the field, lightning Echomancers ignore 10% of the target's basic DR, And when elemental reaction is triggered on the field, applies a 40% elemental reaction damage bonus to all enemies for 30 seconds. So that's nice. It doesn't specify the elemental reaction. So like I said, she's not completely out of being able to work with your fire lightning with explosion. It's just she doesn't have it really in her trait. But right there, it works perfectly fine with a lightning or with that explosion reaction on that one. After being switched to a backup, the redeployment cooldown is reduced by 15 seconds. Nice. And then when set as leader, the extra damage of all Echomancers on the field increased by 50% additionally when calculating the number of Echomancers required for Inspire. This Echomancer is counted as 2, so she can make it easier to get to Inspire stacks. But these, and some of these are kind of just your default ones. I like the main one right here seems to be level 7 that you want to at least get with her to get kind of that benefit there. And that is Skylar pretty much. I mean, the big thing is she has that barrier break on her one skill. She has her summons that come out there doing damage. And so that'll work pretty well within a summon team. I mean, it seems like almost every unit has like some kind of summon at this point, the way we're seeing it. But then that pulling the enemies together is going to be really nice for any teams where you just pull them all together and then you have someone that can do a nice AoE to just wipe them all out. Like something like that. Even Skylar could take advantage of that with her AoE hit, pull them in, and she just hits some huge damage to all of them there. So that's nice. And then just being able to break barriers. I mean, yeah, it's going to be her ultimate to that, but her ultimate's wiping all of them out and stunning all the enemies around there. And I think there's almost certainly going to be a boss or bosses where that's going to be really nice. Just being able to probably put a lot of barriers on the field, just bust them all up, stun the enemies, and then you can like focus down that boss a little bit there. So I think that'll be really good. And then you can kind of look at what Pridewind has on their review of Skylar. Her ability to shoot down aerial targets, destroy barriers, and lock enemies in a zone for long periods of time all make her a good choice, just like I said there. And her summons can reduce the lightning resistance, so good in the lightning team. And that's why they say they are paired good with Jean and Uni. It's obvious in maps with wet environments. That was that one bonus trait there you saw, as well as the fact that she can reduce water elemental as well. And so she can control all those enemies quite easily. Now we look at the tier list on units that we compare with her. They mentioned Jean and Uni. And the reason they're really well with her, they're also both S tiers or viewed as S tiers on this. And that's because they are the top tier and I believe currently the highest damage group in the game currently with their water lightning reaction. And so she just is that further buff to them to doing a lot more damage. And then from there, you just kind of need your sustain. So you can bring even just Freda or pretty much anyone to that capacity. I mean, we have to kind of look at what the other ones are capable of bringing. I think Titania would be a good one to bring with them because she can add in electric, water, lightning, and ice into the mix. So she can actually do the electrocution. She can do the she can even freeze, but she can also then initiate explosion with her fire. So she can kind of do it all. So she might be the good one to bring in. But the core team for Skylar, if you're going to want to get Skylar, if you're targeting Uni and Jean in the future. And the one nice thing, and this is why it was originally one of my plans when I was originally going to go the water and lightning route, was you get her and then you have quite a bit until those two actually come out. So they're like way up here somewhere. Like here is Jean. So if we take in consideration how many months away they were, Skylar was in February of 2024, and then Jean was in August. And then I'm pretty sure I passed the other one. Yeah, Uni was in May. So you had February, then you had May, and then August. So so you have a lot of time in between on them. So if you wanted to go heavy into that water lightning team, this is perfect time to pick up Skylar. Now she, I believe, reran at some points in here as well. So you could skip her now, waiting until like Uni and Jean come out to actually pull over her, because they do seem to have a decent amount of reruns in the future, as you can kind of see up on these banners. Now, one thing is, if they continue this track of following what they did previously, you have the big negative to pulling for her, and that is because right after her, Boreas came out, and then Feng Quenchu. So Feng Quenchu here or maybe I'm probably mispronouncing her name because I know with Girls Frontline I was saying Quenju or whatever, but it's actually Chongjo or something because that QI is like it's not a Q sound at all. So like Ben Chongsu, I don't know how I'm mispronouncing it, but she's absolutely the top tier for that ice team, and then you have Boreas, who is an amazing support buffer and debuffer, as well as he can give tanking capabilities. And so if you're wanting to go that route, you're going to be hurting for pulls after getting Skylar. So you just kind of have to plan around it. And I'll put this in the description if anyone wants to look at the banner order and how they came out. Because right now I'm still kind of debating I'm going to go for her or not. I might throw some pulls. I don't think I'm going to go all the way to full pity to get her if I don't get her. But I'll probably pick up the memory trace. It's nice to just kind of get these limited memory traces. But then again, I do want to like just full max this one right here because I'm going like I've decided I'm just going to go heavy into that ice team. And it's nothing more than I really want her and make her top tier just because I'm having so much fun with Girls Frontline that she kind of gives me the same vibes. So I definitely want to get her going and being like my core do it everything person. So I'm going heavy. And then she has a summon as well. I mean, she has a summon. Boreas buff summons. I have Seng Ying. It's just going to be a great all-around team there. So I'll kind of have to see. I'll probably do some pulls on Skylar, and I'll do those on a stream as well. And if I get her, we'll go ahead and test her out. If not, I'll kind of test her out even in the trial anyway and kind of go my thoughts on her there if I don't get her. But we'll kind of see. But yeah, that is Skylar. She is going to be a great unit for the Water and Lightning team, or even if you're going that Fire Lightning team, she is got some things that are going really well for her in the future. It's really going to just depend on what you're wanting to go into. So right now, her current team to me, like right now, since we've already had a really good fire unit in Bali Tusu, if you've gotten him and then you have Kairos, I mean, you can already start going with that Lightning Fire team while you're waiting for, say, Jean and Uni. So she's going to have an immediate value. It's just then she has an increased value down the line. So definitely a good pickup if you're wanting to go that direction. But yeah, I'll kind of wrap it up here. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.